All right, coaches, this is the third session that I did at the Southeast Wing T Spread Defensive Clinic, Rogers Clinic in Dublin, Georgia, in March of 23. This one deals with the RPOs and play action passes off the buck. I'm going to divide it up into two videos. The first one will be on play action. That's the way we presented it at the clinic. And then the second video will be on the RPOs just because there are different and just to break it up so we won't just have some big long video, okay? All right, hey, since you are watching it on YouTube, go ahead and click subscribe, click like, hit the bell if you want to see more stuff from me. And every time I put something new up, it will click and let you know. You'll be alerted. There's nothing, you won't get anything bad, okay? Hey, I really appreciate y'all wanting this stuff. Thank you for being so attentive, asking great questions at the clinic. Here we go. First, play action passes off the buck. All right, here's how we protect it. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of protections, or really more than a couple, that we've done in the past that we didn't get into. Told you about them, but I didn't show them to you at the clinic. And and then we'll do that right here. Now, I usually do the pull away, simply because you got the option of doing like a boot waggle kind of thing, waggling out, booting out if the DN squeezes. But on a straight drop back off the fake, okay, we will let the guard and the running back go in the same direction. I'll show you the other way too. But if you're just going to fake it and drop straight back with no, hey, I'm going to boot out if it's not there kind of thing, then this is the way to go because it does look like buck action. Okay. All right. And I will show it to you where there's not so many lines on the screen. His rule is gap down. Okay. And he knows don't go downfield. He knows it's a pass. His rule is gap down. Now, what we tell them, the linemen who aren't pulling on this protection, we tell them on the third step, if you're not engaged, either with a D lineman or a blitzing linebacker, then you shuffle back and look for leakage. All right, the center's rule is gap back. Same thing, three steps. By the way, he's got three-step rule too. If this guy, was lined up in here and he didn't have anybody, he'd shuffle back. I'll show you that. His rule is gap flip or gap hinge. And I even add to it, I say gap hinge high wall, which tells him, it alerts him, we're big on wristbands in the past, and they'll look at their wristband and if it just says gap hinge, and what it says on ours is gap flip, and that's another story. Um, he may think it's a run, and if the guy comes running up the field, he'll let him go and release down the field. So what we do on his rule is gap hinge high wall, which means run this guy up the field. If he comes outside, just stay with him because it's a pass. Of course, his rule is gap hinge is the first part of the rule. If this guy comes in here, he knows he's got to get him. Don't let him come in here. Okay. All right. Now here, all I did was take out the down blocks and the back blocks so you can just see the pull. All right. The guard is going to pull, get his depth, skip pull, get his depth. And then instead of going downhill after he gets his depth, he's going to stay deep right here. Okay, so he doesn't run into these guys. By the way, the reason we do the three steps and then shuffle back is to keep these guys like this guy from stepping down and nothing's there and coming right back and running into the guard, or even pre-snap looking, all right, there's nothing in my gap. I'm just going to shuffle back, and they run into each other. Okay, so what we do is we tell them to take three steps. Now you can play with that. I did two steps to begin with, and we started doing three, and it depends on your splits too, how much space you're going to cover. If you've got really slow dudes right here, maybe say two steps, and you got a really quick pulling guard, two steps. All right, so he's going to pull, get his depth, skip pull, depth, stay flat, and look for this end. Now, this end starts squeezing, log him. Now, if you stay flat at your depth and you say, well, can't the guy come underneath him? Yes. And when he does, we're going to log him. Okay. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, and then, of course, I've got the running back going in the same direction. So you're wanting to get these linebackers to bite, thinking that it's a run play. And then the quarterback, and I'll show you some of the things we've done off of the play action. I want to say, any questions? Okay. Now, here are just the down blocks. 1, 2, 3. Nothing there. Don't go 1, 2, 3. There are 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. That way the guard can pull and get out of the way. Then shuffle back and look for leakage. Of course, if he sees something coming, because let's just say that Mike really balled on the play fake and comes flying in here, he'll go ahead and just get him. Okay, so it's real important for those down blocks to take 3 steps before they shuffle back. So if they're engaged, they won't shuffle back. Okay. And this pass pro to me is it's complicated somewhat, but here's how I tell them. I say you're blocking counter, except you're not going downfield. So once you've taught them counter, the gap down backer, all you got to do is teach them the 1, 2, 3. Okay. Don't climb to a linebacker. I'm going to show you some video clips and you'll see where we climbed a linebacker. They called. He's kind of like an RPO. And it's really important. And that's just the way I do it is I've told them, I said, hey, you put the counter in first. And then you say, hey, we're blocking counter or the GH counter because the backside tackle is staying home and gap hinging on the backside with the high wall. But everybody else is blocking counter. They're just not going downfield. And that's the way we had a lot of success teaching it that way because it's something they already know. So you put the counter in first before you put in this pass pro. And just had a lot of luck with it. Now, there have been times, like I know in 17, and I think in 18, we didn't do it this way. And no, it was 17 for sure, because we had a really good running back who could block the edge. And I'll show you the full slide that we did that year. We had a really good running back, and he could take on a defensive end by himself. This kid went on and played at UNA and then transferred to Alabama State. I think y'all saw some video of him, and I bragged on him. He's a good youngin'. And he was the one that was going to school so he could make it have a better life for his mama. And he was just a great blocker. He played linebacker for us on defense and just very physical kid. And so that took something off the offensive line coach's plate. It took something off the offensive line as far as another concept or another scheme to block. It freed us up to get more reps doing other things because we could use the full slide on some other things as well, like on our regular, protections. But it was just an aggressive protection. But that's what we did that for. All right, here it is all together again. Okay, like I told you, I was going to show you the full slide, which I didn't show you at the clinic. Just limited time. And the great thing about doing it on a video is you can pause me and then come back to it later and watch it at your own convenience. And this is all we do on the full slide. We're going to do our fake, make a good fake, because remember, it's play action, and our fake sucked. And going to come right here, and you're going to fit up on that outside hip, in this case of the left tackle. Better to be too tight and then have to widen out and just hit the guy and tell him it's not a kick out. You want to fit up on him, punch him, and then get real physical with him and stay with him. When you tell a kid to kick out, they're going to go out there and just try to blow him up and hit it and quit it. But you got to tell them, this is a pass. And so everybody else is doing full slide. He's got the B gap, A gap, A gap, B gap, C gap. Okay. And we tried to do it to where the best space tackle, best blocking and space tackle, it was always doing this. So always faking him to the left. And that's what we would do. If this was the best blocking in space, like blocking the edge tackle, we would do it opposite. And that's just something we do. Like if we had a big, run blocking tackle, we just have him step down in B gap and let our better, quicker blocking on the edge, because this is more of a traditional edge block. And you've got this gap right here, and you got the edge. Okay. And you tell them they don't have a man. So if this end slices inside, Tell him to keep coming out here. Tell him to step in his gap and stay there because if something's leaving, something's coming. Okay, unless the defense is wacky, and then the guard will get him. Remember, it's a zone protection. You got to, and I know when you're talking about gap schemes, sometimes the kids get lost. You talk about zone, so maybe just teach them it's a gap protection. You got this gap, so you don't use that dirty word, that four-letter word zone. Okay. Well, now here's another way we've done the pass pro for the play action pass. We'll lock him, so it's kind of like a not a full slide. And this is when you got a running back you do not want fitting up on a DN. Okay. And I don't recommend changing this from week to week unless you just really got some good kids and a hell of an O line coach. But if you're going to go, if you don't like, let's say you got a really good running back, but he's not a great blocking back, let him fit up on the backer in the empty gap and lock this guy. Just lock him. Tell him you got this guy. Run him up the field. And then everybody else has got the slide. Same slide we just talked about. A gap, B gap, and he's got the edge. Okay. And that's another way we've done it. And also, too, I like doing it that way because that's the way we do our regular pass pro, not those steps, of course. But that's the way we do our regular pass pro. It's kind of a half slide thing. All right. Now, believe it or not, this is the same protection, but now it's protections going to the three in the direction of the three tech, and he's going to attack the bubble. Remember, a while ago, he was here because that's where the bubble was. So he's got C, B. Your running back has got A. Now your center's got A, B, and there's your guy locked right here. He's got the edge. I say locked, he's not really locked because if this end goes inside, the guard will get him, and he'll stay out here to get the backer or maybe a twisting lineman coming around the edge. So everybody's got a gap they're responsible for. This is the exact same protection I just showed you, except it's against a different front. Instead of going to the nose side, it's going to the three tech side. And the running back is responsible for fitting in the bubble in the defense to get a linebacker if he blitzes or if he blitzes here. Okay. All right. Now, using that same protection that we just talked about versus an odd front, this is what we did. Remember, this is if you don't have a running back, okay, that you want matched up on a D lineman, or if you're just one of those that prefers your running backs not block D linemen, they block linebackers. Everybody, he's got A, B, same thing we talked about. Okay, it's slide A, B. He's got the edge. Remember, this guy comes inside. He stays out here waiting on something to come. Something leaves, something's coming. All right. Now, over here, what we do to make sure that we don't have a running back matched up on a linebacker, I mean, on a D lineman, he's locked. And you teach your running back versus the odd front to read the tackle's butt. You can do it both ways, obviously. Read the tackle's butt. Tackle's butt goes in, he goes out. Tackle's butt goes out, he goes in. So the tackle's locked. He's just going to, when we're going to, as aggressive, he's going to attack him. When Hugh Nall was at Auburn, he called this a jump protection. He didn't really jump into him, but he fire off into him, and then you sit down, and that begins the dance. And so if the DN comes inside, the tackle's going to wash him. Running back fits up out here to get linebacker coming off the edge, or maybe the outside backer out here coming off the edge. If the DN slants out, the tackle takes him and just runs him up the field. He's going to attack him and then run him up the field, and the running back will fit up right here. Okay, so that's another slide protection. You got 4 sliding, and you got 2 over here playing game. All right, now here's your full slide versus an odd front. And again, this is when you don't care if your running back blocks on a lineman. And so the tackle's got B, B, and he's got the edge. Okay, so if the end goes out, the tackle lets him go, and the running back is going to get him after he does his play fake. Boom, fits up right here. It's like fake and buck. Boom, right there. Remember, it's not a kick out. He's going to hit, lock on, run him up the field. Okay, if the end comes in, the tackle, of course, has got him because that's his gap. And he still fits up out here looking for an edge rusher. None comes, you can slip him out the flat. Okay, so those are the ways we protect on play action pass. Not all at one time. Okay, either we're going to do slide or we're going to pull the guard. We're not going to do both, and it's just up to you, up to your kids. What can they do? What do you feel like they can do? What's your O line coach comfortable with? What are you as an OC or head coach comfortable with? All right. All right. Let's look at a few of the play action passes that we talked about at the clinic. This was probably my favorite when I went back and I was creating the presentation. We uh, we ran this one the most, besides the jet pass. When it comes to the buck, this was has been our most popular play action pass off buck, and it's our version of waggle. I told you I got it from a guy out in California like 12, 13 years ago, and I saw him running it, and I was able to cyber stalk him and get his email address at the school, and we ended up swapping phone numbers, and I don't have that number anymore. I wish I did because it was on a flip phone back then. I didn't have an iPhone. And what he does, imagine if you will, this is waggle. You're going to fake to the tailback. Now I call my running back a tailback. You can have him like fake sweep, or you can have him fit up in here. It's depending on what you do. Now notice the guards pulling opposite of the back. This is the way we block this particular play, what we call cruise, because the guy got it from and they called it blue cruise. And I asked him, does blue mean it goes to the left? He goes, no, it's just blue cruise. We go to the right or the left. We call it blue cruise. And so I just call it cruise. And the guard's pulling away because you've got that boot option, that rollout option. If this end squeezes, quarterback will keep rolling. So he's going to fake and drop at an angle. If the end runs up the field, he'll settle right in here. Okay, I tell him, you're looking to settle, you're going to do a three-step, almost like the old run and shoot, drop back at an angle, three steps. And I tell him, make your fake, three steps at an angle where you end up in where the B gap was before the snap, because that's where the protection is going to be. Okay, he'll get this guy, and you get this protection here. The only reason I did this is just so you know in case this guy goes inside, okay, or he's not there. But it's gap down, three steps until you're engaged. You're not engaged on three steps, shuffle back. All right, so back to this. So he's going to make his fake, do his three-step drop to the B gap. If the end has come inside, coming right here, he'll keep coming out. Okay? If the end runs up the field, we're going to kick him and he'll settle right here. Now, it depends on your quarterback. Now, we started out telling him to read the corner. And if it was there, take it, because that would mean this was open. But that's not necessarily true. And so some years we told him, said, throw, because we're going to throw this, on first down, second and 5. It's a running down play because it's play action. So we'll take the 5-yard gain. This is the idle route, okay? Like you're idling your engine. We tell him to run at an angle where he ends up 5 yards, okay, from the line of scrimmage, 5 to 6 in here, at the top, his heels on the tick marks on the sideline. That way, if he has to go down and make a catch and he drops his foot, he won't step out of bounds on the tick marks. So you go to 6 and then turn around right here. And I've had guys that turned around, to their left on this, and those turned around to the right, and it never really mattered. Um, if the corner runs here, then he can throw this. And if they're in a too high, and the corner runs to this, and the safety's all over the corner, over the top of it, this guy's going to be wide open. And we couldn't get him to throw that ball right there for love nor money. Now, this is negotiable back here. I drew it up as a post because that's the way we always did the waggle back in the old days. But there have been times where we'd run like on an angle and then come across right here. So you got two crossers at two levels and they're spaced apart. He'd be right about in here when he's out right here. And we just call this cruise, and it's our version of waggle. The idle is taking the flat route that normally the fullback would take under center right here. So you got your flat occupied, you got your deep ball right here on the corner, and you've got your, your drag man. And we didn't run a true drag. We did it more like a shallow cross, telling us a 5 yard ceiling. Because what happens is this guy drops when he sees it's a pass or he blitzes off the edge and he's wide open when he comes right here. Very rarely is this guy ever covered. Now, what we tell him, don't look at the quarterback until you clear, because the quarterback's not going to throw it to you. Don't look at the quarterback. And you'll see on one of the videos where the guy just like runs into two or three people because he's trying to look back like the quarterback's going to throw him the ball right here. And I even had the quarterback go up. I said, tell him what he said, I'm not going to throw it to you in there. So you're not going to get it till you get over here. So do whatever you got to do to get over here. And that means keep your head up, keep your head on a swivel, and look for these backers so you don't collision with them or some jug butt nose who's not rushing and you run into him. Okay. All right. This is the first year we did it. 10th grade quarterback. And he misses that guy wide open doing jumping jacks over there on the sideline. That's the idle route. All right, here's your idle. Okay. And here's your corner. Idle. It probably needs, don't run upfield at all. Like I told you, this is the first year we did it. Okay, don't run upfield at all. Just take a straight angle right there. Don't run up the field. And just run. We run the corner. We run like an 8 to 10 yards, and then break to a point 22 yards down the field on the sideline, and that's an interception because we're forcing the ball to the corner route. All right. This is later, like his senior year, and he throws it. The slots ticked off because if he could have caught it on the move, he'd have scored. Okay. Again, notice it's 1st and 10. So that's a good down to throw it on. I love play action on 1st and 10. It's a neutral down. They got to be on it. Look, that's a good idle route right there. 5, 6 yards. Okay. Maybe took that thing a little deep. All right, let's check the backside so we get the too deep, too deep, too deep, too deep on the drag. Just call it a shallow cross. And then he's going to run the post down the middle. Okay. All right, here it is again. This time we're going to throw it to the boundary. Makes the idle a lot easier. Look good idle, and they jump it. Okay, that leaves the corner open. He's got to throw that thing quick. That's the problem throwing it in the boundary. You got to cheat this guy in sometimes, maybe even put him in real tight to get him some space. And the quarterback had to run, so that messed up the timing of it. Believe it or not, he caught that ball. The guy's running, honest, he did. And they called it a catch, too. All right, we're going to throw it over here to the bottom of the screen. Notice the protection. It's the guard pull. Get upfield, just get all you can. Quit all that dancing and taking those unnecessary shots. Okay, you're going to get a corner here, idle down at the bottom. You get your shallow, it should be a shallow cross. And this is either a dig or a post, depending on what we're doing. Notice the protection. Let's go back and look at protection. This isn't the best one. I got another one coming that's pretty good. I see blocking down. Tackle right here, blocking down. So your guard pulling. Now he needs to gap hinge. And he's lost in the mall. Good job by the running back picking him up. He didn't drop at an angle, but he didn't. See, plenty of time to throw it. That's not bad protection, guys, for a play action pass. All right, now, here it is again. This is a great idle route right here. Going to settle down about 5 or 6. They're going to miss a tackle. They're going to pick up about 15. All right, now, quarterback's going to take a shot. And I mentioned this in passing at the clinic. Need to get a better fake quarterback. All right. The guard was thinking, I've got the DN. Well, the DN sliced inside, and we ended up getting him with one of the other linemen. So he kind of slows down right in here, and it slows him down to getting the backer who's coming off the edge. So he bought the play action. He realizes, oh, quarterback's got it. He's going to come here. The puller needs to keep coming, and then the quarterback can settle up right in here. Now, the quarterback should have settled up right in here because this guy was out here. See, the guard gets there late. He hung around in there with those guys, and then we got the good idle route. Even if he got tackled right there, it's a 5 yard gain, right? Okay, that's good stuff. All right, now this is we call this COP, COP, corner post. Now he should be a dig. Okay, we have done it where it's a takeoff, not his post. Either that we didn't communicate that properly from the sideline, or the quarterback didn't get word to him that we were copying it and that he needed to not run the post. Okay. But it's still going to be wide open because, as I told y'all, this is 12th or 13th. I can't remember if it's the second round or the third round. But they had film on us, and we had run. I think the previous game was that team in red and white you saw, where they saw us run the cruise. All right, notice the down and distance, second and short. What is that? That's for a lot of people, that's a rundown. I'm about 50-50 on that. And we've got time, it's video. I'll get into some philosophy with you. I got a good friend on second and short. He said, I don't want to take a chance on getting sacked. And now I got third and long. And I just decided it's a quarterback thing. If you can talk to your quarterback and coach him up and understand, you don't take a sack on second and short. So if he makes this fake and comes out here and it's just not there, throw it away. Now we're third and short. We're still third and doable. Okay, third in a good situation. But most teams are going to be set up thinking run, run, run on second and short like this, or second and two. Now, and so, a lot of guys, when it's second and real short, that's when they're going to try to, go for the downs. And we're about 50-50. Yeah, we're about 50-50 on that. And so kind of turning it, if you do an analytical study of our tendencies, you're going to have to play second and short neutral. It's going to be like first and 10 because that's what I do on purpose. I try to do that. And you got to keep track of that stuff and scout yourself. If you got a buddy at another program that's not on your schedule, that's a defensive guy, I always, halfway through the season, send him some film. Or if I know he's got an off week, third, fourth week, I say, hey man, you mind breaking down my film? And I had a really good friend that's been defense coordinator for years that didn't coach this past year because of some sickness. And I kept him involved um, in football, which by sending him our film every week. And he would send it to me, break it down. Like if he was playing me the next week, this is what I found. And that's why how I keep up with it. When you scout yourself, it's not always the best because you got preconceived notions. But anyway, so this is a cop. And so no, remember, he's got the idol down here at the bottom, okay? And he's got on cruise, he's got a corner, right? Okay, so what we do when we call it corner post, he's going to come right here. He's going to nod at the corner and then hit the post. Okay, there's a full protection, pretty good protection. The tackle should have stayed inside, and he's open. And you see what I'm talking about? The wide receiver on the top of the screen didn't get the call. See the right tackle? He's got to fit up on the inside. So he gave him a head fake and a foot fake to the corner, and it was done because they're so used to. So once that guy flipped number five, flipped his hips to cover the corner, he was done. You really can't see it very well. Let's see. You see, he's starting to flip his hip. You can see that right foot dropping as he thinks, okay, here comes the cruise. Okay. All right. Here's another play action pass we like to do. This is when you do a straight drop back on after you fake it. And it's just our version of what the spread guys call shallow cross. It's a high-low cross. You got to dig, you got to post. Okay, you got the shallow, and then over here, if you're running it with a tight end and a wing, we just do an outside release and get vertical. Now we're doing it out of our traditional set, which is a wide receiver out here in the H in tight. The H has got this, and we're going to either let him do a takeoff or do a dig. Okay, or he can curl. All right, I'll just go ahead and be honest with you. We're wanting to throw right through here. This is the window. I notice the quarterback makes his fake, drops back, boom, everything's right in front of him. You got the post, you got the dig, you got the shallow cross right there. Everything's right there in front of him. And this would be like a press box, coach's box call, sideline call. If you notice something from the box that this guy's coming open on the backside, you alert your quarterback, okay? And make a call, tag it, and say, hey, hit the wing. Well, here's that play. I'm sorry it's so tight. We just had the one angle. See the protection. There's your post. Top of the screen, you got the dig. Okay. The safety didn't bite on the play action, but he had his eyes in the backfield and wasn't watching the receiver. And they're in some kind of man or quarters. I can't tell. I never can tell. I know the middle of the field is wide open. There's nobody in the middle of the field. There you go. Oh, this is tight. Watch the tight end. He's just gonna run into all kind of folks. Boom, boom. Okay. Look where you're going, dude. You get a chance to catch a football. All right, this is our version of sail. We call it money, okay, because it's money for us. This is a deep speed out. Think about that. On a speed out, how you just tell the guy just go get out as quick as you can, round that joker off. And we started doing it on this deep. We call it a bench route because you're running to the bench. At about 8, 9, 10 yards, you start bending it, knowing that your ceiling is 15. And you got to rep it, or he'll square it off because they've been squaring off routes since they were kids, or they're going to drift deep like a flat route that's supposed to be at 5 and ends up at 10. All right, now you'll see when I show you the video, this guy here geared down because they were bailing on him. He just needs to keep going even if they're bailing. Just tell him it's a takeoff. We've got two deep routes, like we got three. We got the fade, we got the takeoff, which means just go, and we got what we call a go route, G-O, which means get open. And it tells that guy, like, if I got a go route, G-O, get open, that if this corner starts bailing like a son of a gun, just turns and runs, I ain't getting beat deep, he can curl that joker up. Not on this. So we just call that a takeoff. I have called it a clear out, but I don't like calling it a clear out because the kids get the impression, I'm just clearing it out. Ain't nobody going to throw the ball to me. And we tell him, say, hey, take off. And if you outrun him, the quarterback's going to throw it to you. All right, but he's looking to throw to number 2 on this deep speed out. And just tell him he can't go deeper than 15. If he goes 13, 14, you can live with it. But what you get, whoever's got the flat is going to settle in here and you can throw over the top of it. Most high school outside linebackers are spot droppers. They've been taught drop to that spot. Okay? And so this has been really good to us. And on the backside, I drew it up as what I call the slap route, slant post. And what the quarterback does, he looks pre-snap. Hey, I got a slant. If he's widened out, if this guy's here's walked up and he's coming, the quarterback can just take the snap, flash fake it, hit the slant right there. And if the guy doesn't get it on a slant right in here, he just continues on like a post. Tell him never cross the opposite hash. And then here's your shallow again, your H. By the way, guess what? If they cover these two, like this safety, this outside linebacker runs with him, and the corner runs with him, he's going to come out of the middle as buck naked, wide open as the day he was born. Promise. There it is. Now you start throwing, you got his quarterback's got to see that's open. Right now it's going to be open. He starts throwing the ball long before that kid starts turning. He probably threw it a little bit earlier. Now he can go 1, 2, 3. Boom, it's a three-step drop from the gun. You tell him if it's going to be there, and you can tell it's going to be there, like right now. 1, 2, 3, throw to that spot out there. You see what I mean about the wide receiver? The guy was bailing on him. Yeah, he was bailing on him, so he decided he was just going to slow down. He thought the ball was, underthrow to him. Just tell him you got to go. Just clear it out. Take off. The only way you're going to get it is if you outrun him. That's a great job by the quarterback. He could have threw it a tick sooner, but not much. 1, 2, 3. Now, see how he patted it? It's just a bad habit. All right, that's it for the play action pass. I ran 37 minutes on that. But again, you got pause. Be sure to hit me up. You got any questions? Numbers up there at the front of the thing. I'm gonna make a separate video for the RPOs. Okay. Again, thank y'all for caring enough to want me to do this and to want to have a copy of it so you can do it. All right. Check you later.